And welcome back, friends. It's game number 4 out of 5, and now we turn our attention to another French team, Team BDS versus Outsiders on the other side. Very excited to see how this game actually shapes up once we get into it. But before we do, we got to prep you and make sure you got all the information, all the baggage necessary before we toss to it. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. I'm Miloš Tometic. With me are Fresh and Fabian. Let's have a chat about these two teams. First of all, the team that actually made it to the Charlotte Major, BDS. Fabian, your thoughts?
Yeah, BDS have all these question marks for me because they keep qualifying, they keep getting to events, but then when they actually get to events, it seems like someone's throwing, I don't know, something into the machine, it just stops working. And I wonder what that is, and I wonder how they'll fix it for this stage coming up. Because they keep doing well, they keep qualifying, but then, yeah, they fall off. I don't know what's wrong. I want to see some change. I don't think it's players that necessarily needs to change. I think it might be a bit of an approach to the game in events, but for this stage overall, I just think that they're going to keep performing like they do every single stage, be one of the top 4 teams, get to the major, and then we'll see from there what happens.
It's weird because, like, kind of 18 months ago, they were doing all this as just 5 players, and then they've added, you know, a coach, an analyst, a manager, and redeveloped how they want to play the game and talked about all this stuff about their improvement, and the end result internationally has still been the same. And I don't know where BDS previously overachieving. Is this now their level where they're always a top 4 team, but they're not going to go deep and win tournaments? Because you go back 6 to 9 months, they were one of the most feared teams in the world.
I saw them as my favorites for invitationals.
Yeah.
And look how that turned out.
Not very well.
Yep. And what about on the other side, Outsiders, Jack?
This is a roster where, if you remember back to stage 1, teams were making roster changes that didn't make a lot of sense. Outsiders were making roster changes that long-term boded well for them, that were good for long-term over the course of the year. They didn't have a serious improvement in their results. They often won 1, lost 1, won 1, caused an upset, lost to a team that they should beat. You know, they lost to Secret, they beat G2. This is the stage where I think Outsiders really can step that up and really step up their fight for top 4. They're a good, solid team that are always there or thereabouts. And I hope they've just made that little 10% increase that will put them right in contention for the top 4.
The consistency, if they get that from those really good games that they had against top teams, then we're going to see a really good Outsiders. And actually, I think that Outsiders could quite easily break into the top 4 teams here because they have the innovation that Russian teams don't really usually do. So they have the Russian base, and both Smash and FMX have really stepped up. Like, we're seeing Rusk and Pasha having a bit of a rougher stage on the last one. If they step it up to the degree that we know that they can, then I think we are seeing another Russian team that might be a world beater.
Then what about our map for the series? 9-man pool, 8 are out, 1 is left, and grand jury has decided that'll be Outsiders in this case, and will take us to Clubhouse, a Russian team on Clubhouse. Wow, that never happens. And they go on the attacking side of BDS, have picked up defense. Jack?
You say that never happens, Miloš, but Clubhouse was Outsiders permaban through stage 1. They did not, they banned it every single time.
I didn't mean it ironically.
And so they've had it pocketed away, stage 1, first game of stage 2, they've brought it out. Because they had the choice as well, they've maybe even surprised BDS with it. So I'm not sure if BDS were expecting it. And there was that old adage that you never take a Russian team to Clubhouse, but Outsiders didn't like that map.
If they don't like the map on statistically based, both Skyscraper and Cafe are maps that BDS like.
Cafe was their number 1 preference during stage 1.
So most likely they have tricked BDS here a little bit, and I assume that their analytics will say the same thing as yours. So I'm leaning towards Outsiders here, just because I think that the recipe that they have with their players, added together with the map, my vote and my prediction might say BDS.
Then why? Actually, what is that recipe?
I had Outsiders.
Because I think when you see that a team has gone to their 9th preference map, their lowest preference map, they've done it for a very specific reason. And I don't know, this could just be Outsiders saying, oh, we just fancied playing Clubhouse. We really liked it all through stage 1. We just never felt the need to play it. It could be that. Or it could be when we know that if a team has a very specific counter-analysis and strategy ready, then it usually ends up in their favor.
Last point on this. Is there a way, do you see a favorite in this game, Fabian?
I wish Outsiders. Simply because I think that the way they're playing, the players that they've picked up, I want the stars to align for Outsiders, and I want them to get the success that they kind of deserve. Because they have worked hard, they have talented players. The roster changes made sense in comparison to a lot of ones that didn't. Now it's just up to them to prove that they can keep the consistency and keep beating the good teams, but also start beating the worst teams. BDS isn't one of the worst ones, so I think this map might just go for them.
BDS, however, on this map are no slouches. It's a very default map. I've seen them win this map multiple times. I think one game against Old Vitality, where BDS played horribly strategically on Clubhouse and managed to just find a win. They know how to just find a win on this map. So it's a real 50-50 in my mind now.
All right, then extra exciting then to get into our fourth matchup of the day. BDS versus Outsiders, and we toss it to our casters. It's Happenem. Enjoy.
Thank you, Milosh. And yes, an exciting match to come up. Will BDS still be in a bit of a downwards mood after the results for the majors or somewhat like that? Because last time these two teams met, 1-7 victory for BDS on Bank. Back then, Outsiders didn't really have much to show for against the French team. Schalke also went 14-3. That definitely helps.
It helps.
So let's see if they are going to be repeating that or if Outsiders is going to change the outcome of that score.
It's weird to say it's a mystery of Clubhouse. Obviously, you know, the most common thing about Club is that everybody knows it, but we don't really know. Wow, 7%. We don't really know Outsiders Club because they've had it as a ban with the recent roster changes. There's a lot of potential with Smash and FMX. It's briefly highlighted by the Dusk, but these are two players that had a really good showing in the recent time in CL. They've always had a good showing when we've been able to see them, and they're names that have been around, especially Smash by Ash, for such a long time in the CIS region scene. For them to get a chance here now, so they've had that sort of settling period. Let's see what this roster can do. Clubhouse is kind of a good map for it.
For sure. It's that one map that everybody knows how to attack and most will know how to defend as well. It's one of the most played maps just in Siege in general, which makes it pretty basic. So it will come down to efficiency and being able to outplay your opponent better than they will be able to find you. You know, maybe make sure the grenades are on point with the drones that come in, or just that you're a little bit quicker on the trigger for going for a push eventually through the CCTV. If we're looking at the bans, the Maverick to be gone is no surprise. The Finka then also not really a big surprise with the current state of that LMG. The Azami could be really problematic on things like Rafters, so suddenly CCTV could have been able to be held by defenders again if Azami made it through.
I think this as a map for Azami is powerful. Azami has her role, and it's going to grow. That's the thing about Azami. Obviously, she was the last of the quarantined operators. With Sens, they were straight into the meta and straight into this game as well. We haven't seen Sens today.
No.
We saw them quite a bit in APAC, but APAC is APAC. They love to try new things.
It was attempts, but we didn't really see the Sen's light screen to be used in such a manner where it was like, oh my, this is going to change the game. This is going to change the meta.
The green screen, I quite like that one.
The green screen? Isn't it more turquoise? Was the word?
Turquoise.
Turquoise?
Yeah, but what's a turquoise screen versus a green screen?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I was just trying to argue the call there. But,
oh, wow. Well, that would come in handy if we were using it to paint a room, but we're not. In fact, they use it to paint lines. Okay, no, Azami even, is banned. Azami is not on the board, and the reason it's powerful on Clubhouse is because we know Clubhouse's holds. You know Rafters, you know Hatches, you know how you're going to approach this, or people are going to be approaching you. You're also with BDS in the realm of BDS, and BDS, they can play new ops. They were one of the first adapters of Flores, for example, and they showed how powerful he could be. So get rid of that. Get rid of the pressure of that off the board here now. Are you going to find a quick catch? Rask wanted to punish the player on the rotate here across the top. Obviously, we are playing on a basement site, but it's a tall extension, as is often the case with Club.
Lem's also well aware of the fact that it was opened up. There was someone watching it. You saw on the bullet holes there, it was opened up from the outside, and thus played it a little bit securely. Quick opening there onto the CCTV walls. Not, of course, the final place where they need to go to. And as FMX will be using the second exothermic as well, the jacuzzi will be opened up. A minute has passed and BDS is all together falling back towards that side to turtle in. They've used two of those not C4s, one's being tossed up. Two of those exothermics, which means there's nothing left in the pockets of FMX, which then also means that Milan will have to do the rest with those Exkyros, which basically limits the flexibility that Outsiders have at this point.
Now, a quick bit of hot droning here to try and catch Lems out. He's going to pop the C4 as he drifts away. He wants to lean back into the fight. Just shoots a little bit too high for the player. Almost caught out by the rotation and finds the drop, but not the catch. Oh, he toyed with the idea of going back to get the finish there. And as the sledge is going to make things a little bit more awkward, they're waiting and hoping that he gets a little bit closer, but they know they're baiting out utility. Smash finds a double. And that is straight down the corridor. A great maneuver there. They kept the pressure so hot. Outsiders, they had the pressure from above, and Smash just swung his way round, down and underneath the main stairs. Took the bite, took the 2 players, and put himself back.
Bit of turnover there from the side of BDS, aware of the fact that there was 2 players right above. An injure occurred as well, and they wanted to go for an execute or at least a confirm. And that cost them 2 lives in the process. FMX back up. Playday still below with the Nitro cells, just staying put, not moving too much. Gets the Nitro off. That's an injure, not a kill again. A second injure indeed. And Rask will be able to be picked up potentially here.
It's always tricky. That's 2 times a player's gone down. 2 lack of confirmations. This time the sledge of Rask is sitting, waiting patiently and hoping to get a pick up. It comes through. And now they are back to, I'm going to say full strength. There's 5 players. That's all that really counts here, though. 30 seconds. The push comes down towards the side. The swing up to A-Case gets 1 as Shaiko is able to at least find 1 on the way out the door. The 4 versus 1 now. Been off very long. Outsiders. Their pace was go. And that was all they knew that round.
A very solid round indeed. And again, going to basically blame it on the fact that Smash able to walk down the main stairs whilst 2 of them were worried about the players up above, gets that double kill, and after that you can just snowball. It's the bottom floor, you can go for these trades, you lose 1 player but you gain 2 back, and they will win that very first round. A quick rehost to be coming underway though, and that means we have some time to recap that round further.
Probably good for BDS this moment. I think that shook them awake. I don't think they expected that much pace and volatility. It's a roster that's always had that potential, Outsiders. They are, even in their previous forms, one that's always had that opportunity for biting. They've always had that sharpness, that moment to go, okay, it's go time. And you used to see it on maps like Consulate, you used to see it on maps like Coast where it lent in well to that. On maps like Club or Cafe, on the sort of heavier maps, sometimes they have a problem with getting a little bit slow. Yeah, they didn't have that problem that round, and I think BDS sort of went, uh-oh.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I mean, BDS did the right thing at the start, right? The first minute, everything was well. They basically forced Outsiders to open up CCTV, to open up Jacuzzi. After that, you start taking the top floor control. That's what Outsiders did. You get those drones out, you start making sure you get the first floor under control so you can open up the hatches. Now, whilst they did that, BDS aware of it, opening up some vertical holes themselves, taking the fights, getting the injure, but hoping to confirm, and that might have been a little bit too much greed. Sticking around for a bit too long and exposing yourself to the long angle, not enough information out whether or not someone was pushing down those main stairs, potentially due to the fact that there was so much sound going up above, but people just walking around, and that allowed for the flank to come in, for Smash to basically just go down the main stairs, get that double kill, and after that, well, they basically fell everywhere, the remaining BDS members. But that's the round over, and we're headed towards the second now. Again, a bit of a setup towards the CCTV area. Of course, we are playing in the gym and bedroom now, so you need that extension. You cannot just play inside the site here. That is a non-viable option. You need construction to at least have a rotation back and forth from logistics up towards the bedroom, but it's also nice to have a buffer zone for that one, which is of course going to be CC and Cash.
BDS, a moment during that tech time to talk and see if you can try and, I guess, regain some control of what was very out of control. You thought you had the pace sort of metered. At least you were attempting to slow them down with the C4 moments and see if you could just scarper what was a very quick, hard, heavy approach. Outsiders disagreed, and they made sure they kept it. Obviously, the opening swing getting a double kill down in the main corridor of pretty much the core of the site itself. And here it seems like they want to get in and underneath. The hatch is pinged as it opens, so Patch is not going to go entirely that way. Rask opens up just near the side. They're waiting for some clarity from the drones, but here already this fast, they were hoping to get a bit of a loose thread. None to be offered.
Not yet, at least. Pasha's still around, though. Could be hopping up these main stairs soon if it wasn't for the barbed wire out there. And thus he will decide to, well, play around this bar. Maybe sees if someone else will come down or up, or maybe drop that hatch as it has been opened up. Maybe for an emergency exit on the BDS side.
Well, that's it. As you said, construction is a very important part of this hold, and you can see that they're trying to funnel some pressure now. And Pasha is in a waiting position, whether he catches somebody rotating underneath or above. Either way, he is there, and that's the problem that he's hoping BDS have no awareness of. But it's only a position that can be played as powerfully as the rest of your team can force movement. And that is down to, well, the rest of your team. At this point, you can see the drones and they're whirring their way towards Playday, who's trying to bandit trick on the far side, or at least just stop the approach via the remaining charge in his pocket of anything that might get rolled. A Thatcher on the board makes things a little bit awkward, but not entirely awkward.
No, it's easy to get rid of one of those bandit wires. It's just the issue that you can now place two on the same area. You do no longer need to get rid of one of them to place the second down. So the Thatcher basically doesn't really counter the bandit at this moment in time. A bandit trick still easily done by Playday if the need may to be arise. So they need to take care of the main stairs, or they need to open up the castle barricade inside the gym so they can challenge him from the highway, neither of which is currently happening. So Playday basically allowed to stay for free right now.
Yeah, they thought somebody might be just on the door. It was a clever idea, open the hole of the floor with the first grenade and try and lob and thread the second one through the bars towards the door of logistics, but it didn't quite come together. Another grenade from underneath, and at this point BDS are just sort of sitting and waiting. It's time wasted, and FMX wasted too. There's the thermite off the border. Lems is able to spray through and get that opener here on the side of BDS. They forced the bandit off, but the bandit still has the stronghold, and there's only 20 seconds left. So what are you going to do, Outsiders? It's going to turn into a little bit more of a pressured push at this point. As I said, sometimes they're a bit slow, and here suddenly they've got to go. The pressure comes up the main stairs. Milon gets dropped, but it's a trade out all over the board on the far side. 2 versus 4, and now just the last player left. Pasha sprays through, gets one, has a handful of seconds to try and find any more. They put a little bit of pressure down, dance either side, draw all of his focus to take out a little bit more. The pre-fire there stops him on an approach, and BDS find one back.
The time will run out, and BDS indeed will equalize the score here, and it took too long opening up the wall. A simple grenade underneath the drone hole would have done the trick, but both nade operators playing below, trying to find them with those depth charges, but none to any prevail. And with that, the wall stayed closed for too long. They weren't quite able to deal with the bandit that was actively tricking there, because there was no highway control to open up the castle barricade either, so a bit sloppy from the side of Outsiders. Definitely an improvement point for the next time they do decide to go gym, as that didn't really work out for them. Now, we head towards CCTV, a side that is often picked third now, as is portrayed here as well. With Azami, I believe the side becomes a bit more viable, as the garage is a bit easier to hold on to, as you could just close down these gaps between the panels, which makes it harder for the attackers to get rid of you. But Azami banned, of course, and that means that we're basically playing the good old version of this hold, which often seems to be falling into the attacker's favor nowadays.
It's the awkward position of CC. You know what's needed to be done here, and I'm wondering if this is going to be something that can drive Outsiders. The fuse is going to be able to theoretically clear off any of the danger and drama on the other side. They can put the pressure onto that wall in several different ways. It's just choosing which one and seeing if BDS can try and stop it is the opposing thing. But the worry before was that Outsiders, as you said, took too long to get the hard wall. If those common problems are the one that caused them the biggest of problems, then at that point you have to work out what you want to do. Here is going to be the timing. Smash is going to roll this in. Ooh. They're going to try and get the deploy just in time. Is there going to be the catch here? What wall has been chosen? Is the first pop going to fall off?
No.
Yes.
Actually, oh! Alem's just out there in time, but there is going to be another placement, and that's the wrong choice there, Alems. The wall will be opened up. Good use of the fuse there, I dare to say. Also some small chip damage done towards Alems, but still 2 canisters left for them to use, so plenty of opportunity to get other kills with it potentially.
Obviously, if Lems had been able to get the bandit charge on the other wall, it would have stopped the fuse charge, but it was well placed and played. The risk paid off, and bandit tricking, well, it's a dying art. It's one, unfortunately, that is pretty much dead in this round. FMX He widens the pressure, opening up the bottom of Garage now, which is step 2 of the multi-step process of how do you take this round. There's the pressure here from underneath, Renshiro just dabbling on the rotation towards Lounge. They obviously have the swing and the pressure onto Adam. They drop there onto Logi to see if they could try and get a bit of a wide catch, but Shaiko is the closest thing playing in construction with a softed approach from the bedroom.
There's a lot of verticality that has opened up due to the fuse, however, which means that Lounge is going to be a bit more viable to play for the defenders as well at this point. Often one of those steps that you need to take control of, one of those areas that you need to make sure no C4 operators play, but with these openings, even a simple gun will do the trick for a default plan. Now, Pasha is looking to take control of these rafters. Rask is out there to help as well. They need to get a grenade over onto panel 2 to potentially displace that player. Now, the big question then is there an ADS out there? They don't know that yet, so they need to work together to get rid of Rafal in his current position. And as he stands up, he basically shows himself to the breach, and that's a free kill for Outsiders.
It's always a tricky one because you know that there's pressure from out there. Smash doubles down, finds Alems as well. That's the Bandit towards the back line of sight there, whether he swung out and wanted to see if he could try and push red and get the player on the breach. It did not work in his favor. Shaiko, though, does. He's able to find his way back into the site and take care of Smash in the meantime. Looking over towards the rafter side, there's the player on the back side of stairs, but look at that timer once again. 20 seconds, FMX with a huge kill, but they're looking through a smoke canister. They've got to try and break through, and Playday got another 2. Renshiro underneath puts the gun down at the worst possible time, and now it's down to Playday. He's crept his way in underneath. He's hoping to see if he can try and get a call in. Changes to a gun at the worst possible time, though, once again. Siege timing hits, and once again, Outsiders get around.
Unaware of the position of the Yana there, unable to find that kill. So, well played by Outsiders, I have to say. They placed the exothermic and they placed the fuse charge both at the same time but at separate walls. So the Bandit is forced to make a decision. Do I go for the fuse charge, which has a longer time to detonate, or go for the thermite? Now, what FMX actually did is pulled off the charge before the Bandit wire went through, which means he still had to, but it was time wasted for the sign of the Bandit at that moment in time. Fuse went off, did some more damage. It's a 50-50 at that point. Which wall will they be opening up? You probably will go for the one closest to you, so you have a quick way out in case it's not. And as well, it opens up a little bit of a wider line of sight.
Thatcher on the board always shapes a very different clubhouse. It always creates more of an awkward gaze cast upon things that are still a problem. Still CCTV wall is a problem, still hatches are a problem, but it makes a lot of things that have become creative solutions that have then been worked out, like playing kite claws and impact tricking hatches, or obviously playing bandit tricking, or stacking yourself up with control of lounge. All of those positions were created in an answer to how do you play and defend this map without Thatcher. And when he's on the board, you sort of rewrite a few years of history of Siege and try and drive yourself back in. And I guess that's one of the things here when we're starting to see him as a more common reoccurrence in the current meta. It's plays like that, it's moments like that where BDS were trying those old solutions, but unfortunately the problem had been erased.
Alrighty, 2 minutes 30. Top 4 slowly being taken under control here. Renshiro playing with that Bandit. The Lambs on that Cade is looking to trick the hatch here. Now, this one is a bit more successful. However, with a double EMP, should easily be taken care of as well. And that is most likely what they will be going for here. That's one currently active. Just waiting for Smash to be tossing some of these softballs up. Well, that's been picked up, so he's realizing that it's not currently the right moment to go for it. Drone's coming out. Not quite sure what timing they're waiting for. I mean, they are very stacked up in the bar. Potentially C4 that flies out is what they're afraid of, so they just wait a bit longer. I mean, they have the time currently. They don't need to get this opened up ASAP. That's also a very big help. That's the Cade gone, so there's nothing else that can just currently stop it from being not breached.
Alems has been so hyper-aggressive on those holes, and sure, it almost netted him a kill on the way out the door before, but here it's just another bit of punishment. It's that problem that BDS sometimes have, where their game hasn't been guessed, but well worked out by Outsiders who are here playing a map they had at a permaban with all of this knowledge. BDS keep themselves going at the same pace and hoping it comes together. There's 3 walls. You only really have the time for a little bit, and now you're dancing across a whole wave of destruction. Somehow Renshiro pops up and finds a kill on his wave back around to the other side of the bar, but Pipe's wall is gone. You assume the hatches have been opened as well, and Well, now it's just seeing if they can try and work something in it. Yeah, it is. Both sides are open. A rotation background to sight from BDS.
A lot less safety here for the BDS players. It will turn out into a bit of a skirmish with all these openings currently on the site. Quite sure if the kitchen hatch has been opened up. That might be the next very target if they still have the opportunity. Yeah, it has been opened up, and this reinforcement will be going off as well. Actually, no. Playday will stop there, and Shiro finds a kill on the hatch as well, so brings it back to a 3-on-4. BDS then again in charge, but still a lot of openings they need to worry about as Rasta takes a lot of damage.
That's almost the second gift over the top of the hatch there. He bit one, and here's Rafal doing everything. And I said it was the School of Alem's book before where they're biting back into holes, but here they're actually trying to make some work of it until Pasha and Milan find one apiece. But once again, the timer is low. Here, 14 seconds. They have the ping on where the kit's going down. Shaiko's looking for the angle, but they're playing it quite loose and aggressive. Very well wasted. And they just get the kit down. Playday hits the floor as well. The spray through the soft. They can't quite find the angle on anybody. Milan confirms the kill on the other player. And then one more. Outsiders, 3 rounds.
Some might be thinking there that, you know, the Jaeger the Bandit might have played that a little bit wrongly. I tend to disagree because the walls have been opened up, the hatches have been opened up. You need to challenge. You know they're on the main stairs. You cannot just let them take the church because there is that safe plant spot on either the black box or behind the bar. So what they try to do, I said it before, it's turning into a skirmish. They need to make sure that they're constantly on the fight. You waste time that way. You try and stop them from truly moving in, but as soon as the first kill falls, Outsiders instantly pushed that trigger. They decided to just jump in, get their plant down, whilst the final kills came through as well. And a tactical time I call by BDS, because it hasn't really been going too well for them. That's 3 rounds for Outsiders, and the only site BDS have been able to win was the gym and bedroom. And that one, I criticized for the fact that Outsiders just didn't deal with the jacuzzi wall quick enough. It took them up until 30 or 40 seconds left, and they could have done it within the first 30.
It's that sort of tricky problem, I think BDS are in, and I'm going to highlight the word that you threw out, which was skirmish. It's getting scrappy, and the thing about Outsiders is they can work well in that environment. As I said at the beginning of this, they've always been a roster that can get aggressive. They've always had this spark. The problem is it's not a consistent spark. It's one that is massive and terrifying and fantastic on one map, and then the next, it is dulled. It is not as confident. And here, I mean, you just look down the board of the current scores of the 3 names in the top left, and that is that energy, that is that pace, that is that application of these players who do not shy away from fights. They don't care who they're up in the server against. All they care is, are they on their day? Yes, currently. And it's down to BDS to see if they can just try and regain some control, because that flat control is what's missing at the minute.
That's it. They're basically being outclassed so far onto their defenses. The weak spots are being found, and they're basically just hammering on those, and will be able to force mistakes onto the players of BDS. Just think back at the CCTV hold where Smash was able to find the player onto the rafters due to him stepping out a little bit too much. Just those 2 steps change an entire round. Positioning, important. And now, as we go back towards the basement, again towards the site, they have lost twice before. BDS are certain of the fact that they might be able to make a crucial change here.
Well, Pasha, once again, quite quick in there. Looking for anyone that might be a bit loose. They haven't come in with the same pace towards the hatches as they did in the previous round. I think they've got an idea that there is maybe a player up on the top ropes, but they've actually dropped down and hidden themselves inside the canvas for now. And it is this, a little bit more of a cautious approach. Lems still has holes to peek through for now, but is actually holding off just for the minute as all the pressure starts to come through from Rask. Suffers a little bit on the other side, but expected it. And here, they're not leaning in entirely. 2 claws still in pocket. The pressure from the Yana down main, and there it is, an early throw onto the first hatch. Just to sort of say, well, here's the pressure, here's the mark, let's get cooking.
Playing in a different position now where it can toss these electric claws between either the triple wall or the kitchen hatch there. Of course, easily cleared off if a grenade will be able to make it through. And as these Hibana pellets are going in 2 by 2, it's not something you often see on this side. It's often the case in the kitchen hatch, but might have been afraid of an electric claw popping up there as well. And then it's better to waste 2 rather than 4 pellets.
Well, this is one of the first times we've seen BDS not try and throw themselves at those vertical angles opened up around the top of the main stairs. They are playing a little bit more cautiously. Here it is, though. The claw went out on the right-hand side. Renshiro's electroing the left, and that is what you wanted. That's the result. They've stopped the Selmas. The C4 doesn't quite get the full catch, but most importantly, now they cannot get through and get the plant on that wall without a little bit more of the X-Kairos, which means that Kitchen Hatch would have to stay solid, and that's that sort of risk. And this is something that outsiders haven't had to deal with before. The maths of running it. Are they just going to try and throw themselves into the fight? Pasha, with the drop, is going to try and ease their way around, fires through and gets a Lems down cold on the ground, but he's not entirely out. He can give calls and positions and plays. Popping in, and Renshiro pops up. There's Pasha over the top and suddenly traded out. Shaiko dropped in the midst of it. A 3 versus 3. Lems was finished, and they're still playing close on this angle. They're not entirely sure if the player has gone. Here comes the X-Kairos, you assume. No, they're actually long gone off the board. Shaiko is able to find one more for his trouble. Rafal down the main corridor, 5 seconds, and simply holding their cards to their chest has given BDS a round.
Important change there. I mentioned it before. Lems playing a bit further back, not being that aggressive where he dies early on with Electro Claws in pocket. Had the opportunity to toss it at that triple wall. As soon as they realized, we're coming down here, all the utility out there, you stop them from using it. You highlighted it perfectly before. And basically, outsiders, they need to adapt, they need to improvise, and they need to take these gunfights. And at this point, BDS just a little bit better at taking these gunfights and winning them out. So, with that, round 6 will be underway. Last one before we have to side swap here. BDS will be choosing to go back towards the gym and bedroom. Now I'm going to highlight it again. The last time it was a mistake from outsiders to not deal with the gym wall quick enough. They left it to too late. They took too many losses on the way there. And they need to basically change that massively here. Will they? Is the big question. Well, we can only wait and see if that's going to be the case. I mean, there's still going to be 2 grenades, not 4 actually on the board this time. So there's still an opportunity to get rid of a Bandit player that is playing close to the wall. That was going to be a bit more difficult. You could actually go for concussions, I guess, with Pasha. Would also stop Bandit from placing down the utility.
BDS, that was a much better return to form. It's crossed attack timeout, but a 3-3 half and leading into your attacks where, well, to be fair, outsiders might not be running on the same level of intel. As we said before, sometimes BDS defenses are known, and that can become that tricky problem of if people have spent a long time working out exactly how to break it apart and you don't have anything on them, well, the scoreboard will show that. And here, it's going to show it more than your attack than on your defense. The break comes through. FMX over the top. They're looking to try and get control of red. There's going to be nobody trying to directly stop it before. But as you said, last time we were here, it was slow. So what's the change of pace? Maybe some earlier pressure onto logistics. Nobody sitting around in bar.
Not yet. Playday again out here on the jacuzzi. Just waiting. I mean, he's going to do his job here. Rask, however, coming in with one of these depth charges. He's going to be able to find a Lems. Just fell back into construction, safe enough, doesn't have to worry about a thing here. Except for the open window and potentially the wall behind him that just has been breached. Not completely. The slide opening that has been made. Claymore taken out. No, actually not. Shaker's not going to go for the run out there. Or the fact that would actually kill him.
That's it. I think the Claymore's on the AC unit, so it's tougher to get control of the break and the pressure over the top. And there's a castle still in place. Play there on the close window, which means that they don't quite have the same control on this. The important hopping around onto the right-hand side.
Did he just knife?
Can you do that?
You can knife the X-Kairos through the castle barricade. I wasn't aware of that, but I mean, the punches appear on both sides, I guess. No, just on one. Okay, I never knew of that, so that's a neat little trick that they have figured out, and we'll make sure that that one will stay close, at least for now, so they need to use different kind of utility to get rid of that. We're going to see this a lot, just people punching out.
Do I tell somebody about this?
I think we've just did already. Come on, get it.
Oh my word.
Oh, it's just one punch now, I think. They just decided to blow it up with one of those impacts.
Fresh didn't know that. I didn't know that. Did anyone at home know that? That's the first time I've ever seen that used in a comp setting. I mean, I guess we'll see how long that's used. Pasha takes good use of Alem's head there, but 40 seconds, and now the break's got to come through onto the site itself. They're looking to try and isolate that player on the top of red, and they're also looking to try and break their way through onto Playday here. Rafal He's not overextending. He's not entirely throwing himself out, and that's the big worry. Smash has to sit here and wait for the swing on this player until he gets a confirmed kill, but as Playday goes down, it's going to force a movement from the Jaeger. Smash has to be the one to get the catch here, but 20 seconds, the pressure and the onus of time is still on them. 5 versus 2. Rafal, you're not all that's left. You did get Smash, though. You did get Rask, though. The swing out there on the CC window nets 2 huge kills. 1 behind him to watch, then 1 in front of him. Here, a 3 versus 1. He just needs to find the kit, but he can't. 4-2.
Outsiders will still win, though, even though BDS able to smash out the X-Kairos pellets from the castle barricade. I hadn't seen that before.
Is that? I'm still like, obviously, you know, until something is decreed as playable or not playable, it's playable.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story. It's an interaction I don't know if they know exists, but now everybody will. It's clever.
That's definitely going to appear on Chaos's Twitter. One of those...
It's going to be on the subreddit.
It's going to be in the subreddit.
It's going to be in your
sure.
ranked games.
Probably people are like, oh, I already knew that.
I wonder if you can just knock everything then. Like if someone puts a fuse charge on a castle, can you just punch it through?
Possibly. I mean, breaching charges.
Breaching charge? Like, theoretically people can shoot your toes, so be cautious, but at the same time, the worry of playing a castle on a window is that somebody can just roll up and fuse on it in certain environments and certain ideas. It's not the most common, but let's just paint that as a worry. Now if you can just punch the thing off.
Potentially. We haven't checked
Potentially. Somebody run the numbers.
Somebody run every single gadget right now. We need to know which ones you can get through. 4-2. Outsiders in that lead on the defense now, and a lot of shields to be deployed around these red stairs. ADSs as well to stop any explosive from coming through. So to truly make it a bit of a fortress there. Assuring themselves they can stop anybody from moving in from the CCTV area. But it doesn't turn out to be the site. It's not CCTV. It is going to be gym and bedroom. No castle this time around, so I wonder if we're going to see any tricking. No, there is not even an operator that can trick. There's a Mew. I guess he can juggle some of those things up and down, but doesn't have to go for that either. So quick openings will be made then by the side of BDS. The trouble here will be is that shield setup on red is going to be very tricky to get rid of, because even if they try and approach it from Adam, go up the staircases, that is not really going to be working out because there is an ADS that will stop that bottom shield from being taken out. And if you just want to run through, well, you're also going to be caught off there. So the only other option you have is to go through Cash and try and get them from the side, which is maybe something Renshiro wants to go for here.
Wow, a quick bit and bat of approach here. They're going to try and pinch these players. It's one of the sort of ideas that we saw before from Outsiders. They had that just hold and the pressure. They had the breach opening, but here BDS are being much more stringent. They're going to try and take the players. They know that they can dedicate some of the work across the board, but at the same time, if you've got a minute 30, why not try and make it work? If you can get the 2 kills, you can get this territory, then you don't have to worry about it until late in the water. Sure, it wasn't the winning factor before, but at the same time, it's still an important bit of ground. Shaiko creeps his way around. He's looking to see if he can cut off that player. Do they know he's here? There's the C4. It's a little bit wide, so maybe they don't, but at the same time, they can just tuck it on the corner and hope. It's a shotgun, it's an SMG, and it's a terrifying corner to rotate, but look, 2 minutes gone.
Nate being tossed over, but Pasha, the first one to fall. That is on those red stairs. I was going to say, that is kind of the fortress that they need to get rid of. Now, this nade will take care of Milan. Goes in the DBNO state. They might not know. A drone will need to come in to confirm that. But with 55 seconds on the clock, there is definitely going to be a good opportunity for BDS here to quickly catapult off these 2 opening kills.
Oh, it was a very aggressive position there, a risk by Smash, and it did not pay off at this point. With no players on site, Rask has a lot of distance to travel. Will he try and do it? There is 30 seconds. It's not entirely over, but as the kit's coming down, they can assume he's off site, so they'll be holding all the routes background. You can see the players on the door. There's one out on Jacuzzi to the right-hand side, a post-plant, and the pins come through. But in a post-plant 5 versus 1, it's not going to be very easy. BDS with a huge bit of pace to bite themselves back 1 round, 4-3.
Checked everything there, the opening kill, the plant, and the flawless round to win it in the end. And see if they can keep this up currently. First round on the attack. Absolutely flawless. Managed to isolate these players. They realized that the red stairs were going to be an issue, so they got rid of the ADSs. They got a grenade in there. The shields were taken out, which makes it a lot easier to get rid of the player. And as they found him, and also good knowledge of the position of the second one. A grenade tossed over to quickly confirm him as well. Currently changes it. Again, 5v3, it's a massive advantage. You can just continue snowballing from there on. So Outsiders, they need to prevent that from happening. They might need to be a bit more passive, a bit more focused around the site. Set yourselves up with some nice little crossfires so they aren't quite able to go for a 1v1 without being punished instantly. Because that's exactly what happened. That first kill came through, no one was there to reply. Second one came, no one there to reply. And a third one came. Again, no one home to reply, because they were all 1v1s where the members of Outsiders didn't really have anybody there to back them up.
All right, BDS, that was a very clean approach, and that was a huge bout of power, something that, to be fair, we'd kind of been missing. You went in with these scrappy engagements, and as we said, the true test of Outsiders now is going to be on their defense. Sure, BDS might not have the straightest answers towards the game you want to play because you've hidden it for so long, but they also don't have the full read on your approach. Your attacks can be a little bit more malleable than your defenses, and there is something that is solid as anything. A perfectly played and bounced grenade. Rafal's going to see if he can get the cleanup, the spray through, and there it is. Now with that player taken off very quickly, Rask is gone. It's a 5 versus 4 with still over 2 minutes left.
Pushing on a bit of a roam here around the bar as well. Has a small amount of support on the main stairs. I believe coming down from FMX. The smoke is currently decided to go on a bit of a roam towards that top floor. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that one. It does get spotted off. It's a second entry again. No one there to reply. I said this the last round. Outsiders are not playing this in a trade game. They're not playing this with crossfires. They're just solo all around the map, but they get picked up and punished for it.
Well, the pressure's starting to rain in here over the top. Smash and FMX both damaged, and FMX finished off as well here. They're seemingly losing any control of BDS player Shaiko. Swings and finds Smash behind the big blue box, and now there is a minute 20 for Milan to try and survive. He's able to take a bite of the first, waits for the grenade to pop, and decides to rotate further up. Suffered a little bit on the spray round. There's a player waiting. Not for very long. Rafal with the skeleton key brings us back to 44.
If that grenade was pulled out just a little bit earlier, it would have been a second flawless round on the road here. So didn't work out for BDS. Not a flawless, but still a very good one. Only a single kill so far gained on Outsiders. They're a defense side. It's not something that looks too pretty here. Bar and stage up next. Hoping they can find a difference maker here, but as long as they do not play that trading game, as long as they keep on being picked up on individual positions without anybody there to even try and go for a response, BDS is probably just going to be able to find the same result time and time again. There is an echo on the board, however, so there is going to be the opportunity for those yokais. Now also Evil Eyes there to provide some extra information. Might be trying to go for a bit of a stall game here from Outsiders. However, if the last 2 rounds were anything to go by, they weren't quite successful in stalling out BDS too much. BDS just able to punch through whatever they tossed up at them. Is that Joe? Did I know?
Remember they punched the castle?
Oh yes.
Like
okay,
3
sorry.
rounds ago.
I forgot that. No, I didn't forget that, but I was like, what joke did I make without realizing I made it?
I gave you the laugh anyway.
Thank you.
As
I
you do,
appreciate
that's
it.
my job. BDS, 2 rounds, and as you said, 2 very effective rounds. That's the big problem right now. Outsiders, well, their defenses haven't been very foolproof. In fact, they've been losing quite a lot of water, and they're going to see if they can at least keep a handful here in the bar. It's quick breaks and pushes all the way over the top. If you're unfamiliar with a bar stage hold now, since it sort of got changed, it is a bit of a top-down hold. You often have billiards as a back line. You can swing an extension into kitchen as well and sort of open that soft wall over that corridor between the stage, because the stage and that wall that connects is the general scene default plant spot, is tucking yourself in onto that brick wall that divides the middle of the site here. Lems is going to make sure they can claim that utility, and as I said, there's the angle that runs through into kitchen. FMX is actually leaning in to see what they've got, and they're hoping they can get somebody. But Shaiko gets Milan in the meantime. You also want to get control of construction, because that obviously watches down onto this very core part. So the pressure is going to push them further and further away, which is the work that's being done here, and the work that Smash is going to try and stop.
Smash is going to be alone up here now, trying to stop this from happening. Has the SMG-11. Yeah, 16 bullets, it will hit on range, but it's a bit more difficult to control, especially against these assault rifles that the attack will be bringing. He needs to be careful to not get overwhelmed here. FMX looking to position himself underneath the hatch. They have opened up BDS, though, directly next to the hatch. So alternative angles are starting to be created here with players up out on the balcony as well. It's going to be very difficult. Here in the bathroom, actually, ADS there, stopping the shield from being destroyed. So Grenade will have to do the job instead. There's a small amount of damage Pasha there, but he's no longer able to play in the bedroom now.
That's it. It's a bit of time that's sort of added onto the tally here of BDS, but they know how to move behind it. Smash is going to have to play a little bit wider, a little bit less aggressive. Shaiko's been able to slip past the angle as well, and the longer he can sort of go undisturbed at this point is the longer that Smash can go undisturbed at his. There it is, a pre-fire and a spray round, and well, that's a very dangerous lean into an engagement there. The Echo drone pulls through, and Shaiko finally finds the end of it. Suffered a lot as the dance back and forth, but Smash has that response. They said he was waiting for the movement and the moment, and it came through. Playday gets Rask, though. The 4 versus 2 down towards the site. They're still eyeing up the chance to plant. I assume that stock wall is open, and FMX is blinded twice and thrice. The smoke canisters cover the idea and the action that's coming through. Breeday's been able to get himself tucked in and ducked behind the table of 2 versus 3. Smash gets one more from the top. Rafale gets smashed, though, and one more. That is BDS pulling ahead.
And with that, they put themselves in that lead. It's 5-4. They find a round. They got rid of the utility. I mean, it was a very heavy upstairs hold. There was players out there in CCTV/construction. Then we had one in the bedroom who tried to go for the fight with Shaiko. Didn't quite get it in the end. And slowed at the top floor fell. And yes, Smash able to stop the first diffuser from going down, but quickly lost his life right after that because there was that man advantage on the side of BDS. And Outsiders, they rightfully will be calling their tactical timeout right now because it just isn't working currently. They just aren't able to put these rounds on the board that they need to put on the board, let alone kills. They're struggling on kills, not even just the rounds. I think it's just 3 now in total over these last 3 rounds. Not very impressive. Actually, it's quite problematic. And does they need to change the way that they're currently playing to stand a chance against BDS? Because otherwise this is going to be ending in a 7-4 victory. That is not what they want. After that first half that they played quite well, 4-2.
It was very well played. It was, as I said, though, answers to questions they'd been studying for. Yeah. And I think that was the most apparent thing. They knew where they needed to be. They knew when they needed to be there. And that's the tricky problem now is it's tougher to gauge and approach because BDS are answering questions. And sure, they haven't been able to study directly because Outsiders didn't play this in regulation with their new roster over the entire first stage. But BDS have done quizzes about how to take care of defenses many times. They've, you know, they have a lot of transferable skills.
They're also a bit of a clubhouse expert themselves.
Yeah.
they like the map. They've played it many times before, so I don't think there's any defense anymore that will truly surprise them. I think they've seen it all nowadays, and we'll be able to literally bring an attack to everything. Talking about everything, it's a Ying that's currently on the board, so maybe we will see a bit of pace coming out from the side of BDS with that Ying on the board, Rafale carrying it. Of course, hatches need to open up first. Might actually see a kitchen drop. Get some quick shots down with the Candelas and drop right after.
It could be anywhere. It could be a pressure down towards oil in the back of blue. It could be maybe just a charge round. It's rarer to see on dirt because it really isolates the way you can funnel yourself in. You want a bit of width on the other side of your Candelas rather than, well, they can just sort of spray blind towards a narrower space. Here, I guess it's down to Rafale to see what he can work out. The 2 heart breach charges is also a very good pocket gadget. They're sort of bringing that alongside the Hibana instead of doubling down on hard breach the same way that we saw Outsiders or a lot of other teams do. As soon as the heart breach gadget came in,
yeah.
Clubhouse is one of those big maps where we sort of said, well, this could change things. And BDS might be one of those teams.
There's Buck, one of those operators as well that carries it and already very important in terms of verticality. Also puts a lot of utility in one pocket dome, so might not be the best. Well, it's good to take it, but redundancy is always good to have. And Renshiro now playing on that soft breach is starting to open up here. Soon those hatches will continue to be opened up. Flame drones are already down there, so nothing really to worry about for BDS's sakes, except for these C4s. They might just pop up at any given moment if you're walking over one of those soft floors, so they'll be definitely aware of that. That might be it. No damage done actually towards Rinchiro. Stepped out just in time.
I was gonna say, I think he just had a bit of space there onto the cemented floor, so he has some of that safety here. Lems is trying to put the pressure down on towards the kitchen side there. Dropping and waiting to see if anybody is playing directly under the hatch. No, not anymore. The mute jammer that they tucked into the corner means it wasn't so easy to drone out. The first impact didn't get the connection.
That went to the roof of the kitchen.
Yeah, a bit too wide.
A little bit too far, too high. But that means the hatch will be opened up now, and basically BDS will have everything they want, and now we'll start staging their attack. 55 seconds on that clock, 4 Candelas to go with here to try and pull off the execute. Milan is deep, I believe, inside the dirt tunnel, hoping to go for a bit of a late flank back onto the side as soon as it's fallen, and by hiding in that position, he might go overlooked. But as the first grenades come in, they're aware of where these ADSs are, and surely these Candelas will start following soon.
Now, obviously, the canister pops off, 30 seconds, and they still have a couple more, so here is where the Candelas might start to roll. One down towards the side of dirt, the drop comes through on the backside, the grenade's through, and that off to the third box. A spray over the top, Ranchiro gets a kill there towards the corridor, but the kit's gone cold. And amongst it, covered by the smoke, they're going to try and pick it up, but Milan keeps popping out of dirt and showing what he can do. Smash, he's taken care of, but Shaiko, in the meantime, is able to get a lock in. 3 versus 1. Smash is still doing bits on the far side. BDS, they overestimated how much control they had, and a single player in dirt cut that kit in half.
That's what I said. I mean, they tossed down the Candela for it, but Milan hoped he would have gone overlooked there, and indeed he did. They didn't pay attention to him enough. You could have just made a simple opening inside the dirt, you know, at least put up some pressure on him, so he needs to be worried about a potential push from the back, but as nothing came through, and it's not a matter of the fact that they didn't have any heart breach left, because it was still the gadget, the heart breach gadget on the side of Ying. One left they could have used there. Not the case. And thus 5-5 on the board. Back to the gym and bedroom we go. Now, a flawless round last time here for BDS. So massive changes need to be made on the side of Outsiders. A couple of them. Let's see what I come up with. I just hope they play more on the trade game, because honestly, last time, Pasha took a 1v1 on Red Stairs, then someone got naded inside a cache. I mean, that's unfortunate, but it happens.
Yeah.
A 1v1 inside a construction, just standing there in the middle of the open room. No one is there to try and even punish the person that's going for you. So it's like you were giving them free kills to some extent.
I guess the question becomes, how long do you try and hold on to this area, and how confident do you feel in the hold? Because, you know, you're dedicating a lot of resources over there. You've got the mute jammers, you've got the sort of doubling down on the shield. Are you going to see if you can put a little bit more utility there to try and hold on to it for as long as possible, or do you have it as a little bit less of a satellite hold? Do you try and, I guess, have yourself situated to maybe have another route out, another way around? You still have to keep control of construction if you want to do the direct rotate, which isn't always easy because of, well, how quick it is to do this. Put the pressure onto that window and make everything uncomfortable for anybody that rotates and make anything uncertain, but also you can't just give in to the early games.
No, you need to hold on. You need to waste as much time as you possibly can, and it's a bit of a balancing thing you need to do. Like, when are you going to take more risk? Like, how many more seconds do you want to waste before you do decide to go for it? As Playday is just trying to bait out to see if there is anybody tricking there. It doesn't seem to be the case, thus the opening will be made. Now they can start on opening up towards the red stairs, towards cache, and maybe find themselves in a 5-on-3 again.
That's it. You can see they've got themselves set up here, and Chiro, he's eyeing up the idea of putting and popping down some pressure, but BDS is just going to try and get some drone intel first. They have the ping on a single player. I'll probably assume there's one player in the top of red as well, and this grenade might be rolled just over the top. But it gets caught out. The ADS there offering some support, and by the sounds of it, another one of my discs just flown up somewhere too.
Milan still taking some small damage though. The Wumai disc not quite activated yet, so he will live for now, and that means that they need to rely more on these gunfights to come through. Shaika well aware of the player that is inside a rep, but it could just completely bypass him by going directly for Milan on top of that table. But that's exactly what he does. He just gets that kill, and now he knows one is inside a red. Deals a little bit of damage to Pasha too, but takes more than he dealt.
I mean, just leading in there and taking the firefight. It's a decision to be made, and Smash, he's here. He wants to offer some support, but as I said, construction becomes so deadly in this sort of situation. Everyone knows how important this round is. Whoever gets it is the only one that has a guarantee of full points. So you can see that Rask and Pasha with the rotate, they're just making sure that they can keep everybody alive. Time wasted, sure. 50 seconds and a player loose in strip might be a problem here. Do they know where Rask is? Well, now they do. And does he know there's a second one trying to close down? They need to try and put the pressure here onto either Alems quickly before Rafal shows up round on the backside. And Rask, he's looking for the fight here. The drone is coming. Pasha from underneath as well. There's the spray. There's the prey. They're hoping they're only paying attention to one. Pasha. Oh, he doesn't quite win it out, and Rafal finds Rask as well. There's the pressure that came through on the backside, and suddenly those two players underneath are gone. 20 seconds, and Smash is going to lean into the main stairs. He wants to try and catch them off a bit early. The smoke canister forces movement, and Smash finishes it off with a full stop, but it's a 1 versus 4. He is all that's left to try and stop this. Takes one, loses the other. BDS 6-5.
And they have the opportunity to fight for 3 points here to start their stage off strong against Outsiders. And yes, it isn't a 7-2 victory. It isn't a 7-3, but it's still full 3 points. Those will matter. And of course, there's a top 4 that directly will qualify to the 6 major Wordle.
Is that
We
where?
don't know what it is yet.
Is that? No, it was just a word puzzle posted by R6 Esports account. You don't have to think about it. It might mean nothing.
Sorry.
It's just a fun puzzle.
I tried to type in like many different things.
Just because a puzzle gets posted doesn't have to mean
Esports wasn't
anything.
it? Esport wasn't it? So
You could just be there just thinking about fun 6-letter words. Just because it comes from the R6 Esports.
oh,
It could be
could be anything.
Desach.
That's
You
hatch.
can't have the whole Desach.
No,
7 letters.
I try many different things, but 6
Milos.
letters is just so limited. All right,
Oh, the only person whose 6 names is Fabian.
I've seen that tried as well, Fabian. That wasn't a word, unfortunately.
No, but it's the only 6-letter name out of all of our talent.
Yeah.
Medix is 7 letters easy.
No.
No, I just want.
I was like, what
I'm
am I
gaslighting
I'm
us.
counting it. It's not the case. You could also do easy with two extra eyes. Yes, I was just quickly. Did I miscount? No. 3 eyes in the end. 5-6, match point. 3 points on the line here for BDS. Are they going to be able to get it? Big question. 12 points, 12 kills. I mean, Shaiko currently looking to lead in yet once more. And I said it before, like they need to go for the firefights onto Cash. And were they able to back then? Yes. Are they able to now? Well, quick dispatch there off the Evil Eye. Spots the Maestro as well, so they know one is behind the bar. Let's see if they can get some utility behind it to get rid of him.
Well, here's the Candelas, and here's a much earlier spray. There's an Ossa, there's a Playday with a kit, and there's an E1D. Oh no! Everybody's blind, but it doesn't matter if all you got to do is hold F. You can see the Echo drone stops the plant, though. A huge play and a huge take. Milon finds 2 round on the backside. Smash gets 1 as well. It could have been all over, but Milon has other ideas. Alems finds 1 and amongst it. Pasha bites back, but an Echo drone and a huge flank is the difference there.
Keeps them in it, finds them at least a point, and the opportunity to fight for 2 now. And suddenly we're BDS, you know, they made some quick pace, they had a good opening, they wanted to go fast. It shows you why you need construction control. It shows you why you need to have someone there to stop anybody from using the hatch against you. And they lack that this time around, and it will show there at that moment. And now overtime on the board. BDS will start off on the defense, which hasn't been the best side so far. Only 4 rounds won over the last 12 played by both these teams together. Now, are they going to be able to change that? Are they going to be able to slightly shift that in favor of themselves? Or is Outsiders going to be able to take the 2-pointer now?
Oh, it was just that moment. You saw what was happening, and a lot of other teams, they might have gone a different way, but between an Echo drone that could and a Milon that did, wow, Outsiders, they stay fighting, and it's always going to be a potentially close game. I think us coming to club has been something that, as I said before, has worked in Outsiders' favor. They were very good on their attacks. They were very good at reading BDS. If they take this, suddenly it's in a very good position to go all of the way, and that is a very good position for Outsiders to find a win. Another OT for the day, and Renshiro is going to see if he can try and at least slow the instant approach. If there's anything that's been a bit risky here for Outsiders, time is definitely there.
Time is there. 2 minutes 30. Let's see how quickly they can open everything up. They need to be worried, though, about a potential roam as well. They need to make sure everything is droned out. That's exactly what they're doing right now. Some verticalities to be opened up as well, and you see those last couple of members quickly rotating back across those main staircases. So no one left to currently strike unseen like Milan was able to do in that last round. Quick, some fire being put down, claymores being set up to stop any potential flanks from coming through later on in that round when they do decide to switch their guns to a different kind of position. These 2 minutes on that clock. Those hatches they need to open up soon.
Well, he's waiting. Milan is eager. He's ready to go for it, and there it is, either side. As soon as they got the clarity that they could, they did. And Alems, is he going to use a C4 to open this up as a roam? 2 claymores, both gone. And now Rafal has an option for rotation. Just checking that it's clear, and now he can wait and strike at the right time. A rotation timed perfectly here could define the entire round as pressure's on the hatch. Rafal is at the bottom of his, heads to the top, and starts a route.
Starts to head up towards the steps. Now, he's still waiting to see whether or not he had been spotted, whether or not he had been hurt with this current flank that went through. A lot of drones on the side currently. Openings are starting to occur as well. He needs to be quick, and as Renshiro gets the very first kill, Rafal now realizes that there is some save ground to be made here in a 3v5. He can end this now. He can put them onto match point again.
Well, here it is, a rotation round on the other side. He's still got unchecked. He's just walked past one man. No, he hasn't. Turns back round, gets dropped. 4 versus 2. But still was able to make things work. A 3 versus 2, 40 seconds. Rask was able to find one of his own. The drop down and a take onto a blinded Kaid. I'm assuming he was hit by a flash just before on the corner and stuck out on the jukebox. But 30 seconds and there's a backline and there's no longer a Rask. Another flash over the top. The whirring and the burring is something only on our side, I hope, as Milan's trying to find the last 2 players with the cold kit. Well, he was trying to bait a bit of movement there, picks it back up, and is he eyeing up what route, what angle? The drone gets thrown out. It's just going to see if he can try and waste a little bit more time, but BDS, they're playing this perfectly. They know they don't have to overextend. Milan, he's going to stick it. He has no real other option. You can see BDS is both trying to close down. It's a pre-fire. It's a shotgun shell right into his core. And it's BDS getting a defense and once again putting themselves 1 round away from a win.
Sharko is willing to steal that defuse away, but in the end decided against it. There, Rafal is seeing as well. He's like, I think so. We need this win. And round 14, soon to be coming underway. Potentially the last, potentially we go max OT. What we do know is that BDS is currently on that attack, and Outsiders will be on the defense. Now, they've only won 2. It's either Church or Bar that they have won, and I assume they will be choosing for the first one. And yes, indeed, it will be Church and Arsenal. It's a bit more of the reliable between the 2, right? It's one of those that they are more familiar with. The Bar was a bit of a push that came through in the end. That rush down the hatch because no one was watching it.
So, lovable Benelux, smiley face, Queen of Benelux, Fast Dan.
Yes.
Ran the numbers. Ran the numbers. That punching through the castle thing works on every gadget.
Every gadget? That is incredible.
That's probably not intended. And I think that's the first time a lot of people... But, as we said, you know, you play on until the ref blows the whistle. So
yes.
That's something that I assume people are going to be looking into tonight.
I'm pretty sure Coppet is already, like...
Coppet's on it.
Pulling his hair out about this one.
Coppet's also running the numbers.
He's also running the numbers. He's like,
but he didn't expect to be. Thank you, Anne, by the way, for testing that. Love you.
Really appreciate it. Helps us out a little bit because we can't test it right now because we're still in the game, so we had to wait a little bit. So it's a match point, and we have the potential to go to a max OT if Outsiders do win this round. Now, there is not going to be anybody upstairs to go for a massive flank like Milan was able to pull off before. So they need to rely on their setup being proper enough to stop BDS from truly pushing in.
So, BDS, you are but 1 attack away, and your attacks have been sharper than your defenses. It was a bit back and forth towards the end, but at the same time, scrappiness is something that, well, it's... At first, it was entirely away from you. Then you sort of found a pace and picked yourself back up into an engagement. The fact that you're seeing 3 of the players sitting on some powerful KDs It's testament to a team that at the opener started with a combined total of less kills than a single of the players of Outsiders that popped off in the opening 3 or 4 rounds. Quick opening of that first floor. A minute has passed. They need to push on a bit further. Hatches, again, they need to open up quickly, and they need to make sure that this time the push is on, because what we saw the last time, the Candelas went in, they were being shut down by the player that's inside of the dirt tunnel. He went unaccounted for. They need to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And does they need to make a decision quickly? Where are we going to be attacking from? Are we going for another drop? Use the Ossa, the talent shield with that, to make sure that we have ourselves a nice little nest to sit inside of. A bit of a safe space as these flashbangs come through and deal with the player inside of blue as he has been forced out. A quick Gemini will confirm that Shaiko. Look at that. Everybody stacked up on the A-bomb chassis. They don't have that blue control, but there's definitely people watching it. There it is, you can see the kit changes hands. Alems is getting it ready. Rask is that only line here. They've tried to go quick, and as more pressure comes through, Rask is just going to pull away because he knows that is the first herald of the grenades that come through. Shaiko gets that opener, pulls away into the smoke, looks for a second and finds it. Alems and Renshiro putting pressure onto the back of the boxes. Suddenly, things are slipping away, and suddenly they slip a little bit further with it locked down. A BDS flawless to end a fight back. It went almost all the way, but that was a lot further than I think a lot of people expected here on Club. Outsiders, unfortunately, just 1 point. BDS 2.
I mean, you saw at the early predictions, the public thought that I believe 7% of the people who voted Outsiders would win. So, I mean, they were quite close. It was only just 2 rounds away as they managed to make it to OT. But more importantly, it is going to be BDS that takes the victory here, take 2 points home. And they start their stage off strong, but it could have been just a little bit stronger.
Just a little bit, but it is the opening Playday. It's time ahead of them to work on things and see what they can bring to the table. Talking of tables, well, we've got a really nice one. It's called the Analyst Desk. You'll have to wait, though, to tune in after this quick break to see what they have to say on it.